Let's be honest, we're all pretty good at starting things. But how many of us are actually finishers? Today on The Explainer, we're going to dive into some fantastic work from author Jan Yeager to really understand that universal struggle of finishing what you start, and more importantly, what we can do about it.
I mean, just think about it for a second. That growing list of half-read books on your nightstand, the online courses you signed up for and barely clicked into, those personal projects just sitting there gathering dust. If you've ever had that sinking feeling of being totally surrounded by things you haven't completed, yeah, you are definitely not alone.
So get this. In her research, Jan Yeager found that a whopping 39% of people admit it's way easier to start something than it is to finish it. Now compare that to only 19% who said finishing was easier. That huge gap right there, that's where the problem lives.
And this isn't just some little personal quirk. Yeager actually calls it a widespread failure-to-finish epidemic. And the consequences? Oh, they're real. It's everything from the simple stuff, like those moving boxes that just never get unpacked, to the really serious. I mean, think about this. Nearly half of all American college students end up dropping out without ever getting their degree.
All right, so first up, let's really get into what this epidemic of incompletion is all about.
The impact is huge, right? Failing to finish things, it creeps into our education, our careers, our finances, and it really does a number on our self-esteem. It can kick off this nasty cycle of self-doubt and even hurt our reputation, both at work and in our personal lives. So why is finishing so darn hard? Well, if we want to find a cure, we first have to get a proper diagnosis of the deep-seated psychological patterns that are really at play here. Okay, so two of the biggest culprits are the fear of failure and its sneaky twin, the fear of success. Now, fear of failure is pretty straightforward. If you don't finish, you can't be judged, right? But fear of success, that one's a little more insidious. You might be subconsciously holding yourself back because you're worried about outshining a coworker, a friend, or maybe even a parent. And then there's perfectionism. Oh man, this one is the absolute enemy of done. It's that little voice in your head that says something has to be 100% perfect, and it traps you in this endless loop of redoing and revising, and you just never, ever let it go.
But here's the twist. While all those fears and perfectionism are major players, they aren't actually what most people blame for their pile of unfinished projects. According to Yeager's research, the number one reason people give, well, it completely towers over everything else.
And there it is. A massive 30.5% of people say having too much to do is the main reason they don't finish things. That's almost 4 times more than the people who blame good old procrastination. So what's the takeaway? It's pretty clear. It's not that we're lazy, it's that we are completely overloaded.
And to put that into perspective, the author herself faced this head-on. She sat down one day to make a to-do list and found an overwhelming 47 different items on it. 47! It's no wonder we can't finish anything when we're trying to juggle dozens of competing priorities.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now for the good part. Let's look at the prescription, a practical, real-world framework for getting across that finish line.
Before we jump into the how-to, let's just get our heads in the right space for a second. Think about Thomas Edison. He didn't see 999 failed attempts. He saw 999 steps on the way to success. This idea that persistence through failure is the key, that's the whole foundation for what we're about to cover. So, how do we build that persistence in a systematic way? Well, Jan Yeager gives us this really powerful and super memorable acronym to guide us, FINISH. Let's break down this simple, but trust me, incredibly effective 6-step process. Think of it like a mental checklist you can run through whenever you're feeling stuck or just totally overwhelmed.
Okay, you ready? F is for focus. That means picking one priority and letting everything else wait. I is for ignore interruptions. Seriously, put your phone in another room, close those extra browser tabs. N means now is the time. Stop waiting for that perfect moment. I is for initiate and innovate. When you hit a wall, you've got to find a creative way around it. S is for stay the course. Push through that messy middle part when your motivation starts to fade. And finally, H is for hail your accomplishment. You have to actually celebrate the win.
All right, now for what might be the most crucial part of this whole thing, taking that first step. Becoming a finisher isn't about having some kind of superhuman willpower. It's just about putting a simple, structured strategy into action. So, you're now armed with the diagnosis, the why, and the prescription, the how. You understand the fears, the trap of perfectionism, and the number one obstacle of just having way too much to do. And you've got the FI and ISH framework. The only thing left is to act.
And that brings us right here to our final question. This isn't just about learning something interesting, it's about doing something. So I want you to look at your own list of unfinished projects. What is the one thing, just one, that you will commit to finishing this week using what you've just learned? Because that single action is how you begin to rewrite your story from just a starter to a finisher.